So I've made a single page zine template for you to play around with if you're a digital creator. And I'm using Canva. I'm using the free version. And so what I was able to do with a pro account, which is a different thing, is I made a template that you will be able to make a copy of. So you'll have the link, um, then the link will be in your little Zine-Makers resource book. But you'll need a Canva free account to access the template. So you'll need to set that up. I've had a free Canva account for years, and there's so much that I can do, both with this type of thing with zines, but also with graphic design. So if you've got that link and you've got your account, so I'm going to say view template, and it will ask me, right now I'm logged in with I've got a couple Canva accounts. Don't ask about it. It's for different things. Anyway, I'm going to open an editor, but this is where you would get prompted to make an account if you don't have one. So right away, it's showing me a couple of things. I can see by looking in this upper right-hand corner, this says copy of a single page zine template. So this has generated a copy of the template for me. So I'm not editing the template. This is just my personal copy. Nobody else is seeing it. So a couple of things. So I've got this template set up so that it's the first page of a single page zine and the second page. So these would get your content in them and then printed back to front as a single page zine. And what I've done is I've oriented it so that just while you're sort of maybe getting connected with this form, you're aware of so what goes where. So for example, you can see the cover is actually oriented away from me, and that's just about how we print these. So cover, back cover, and then I have page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Note that 5 and 6 also are oriented upside down to me right now. And then on page 2, this would be on the inside of your single page zine. Everything is oriented up and down. Now, you do not need to stick with these boxes. I kind of get a little free with my inside boxes. I don't keep them as little boxes usually. Sometimes I do. You might choose to stick with the boxes or not. You definitely do not need these outlines. You don't need to keep the outlines. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And sometimes on the inside of the zine, I kind of go freeform and I just write text and have images where I want, because I know that my reader is going to be opening that up and holding that page in front of them. Whereas on the outside, when you're first looking at the few pages, you're turning the pages like more of a traditional book. So I might stick more with the little boxes on this first page. So let's take a closer look at some of the Canva tools that you might want to be aware of. So I'm zooming in just a little bit. And what I want you to see first of all is if I click on, let's say, this box, I'm like, I don't want this box anymore. What happens when I click on it is I see this word, this delete. There's a duplicate, so it's easy to duplicate something. If I want to duplicate it, I can just oh, look, now I've got an extra box. If I don't want it, come back and delete it. So if I click once, I see that tool, I can delete that box. If I say, oh my gosh, I didn't mean to delete it, I can use the undo buttons, which are right up here, sort of center left, undo. Oh, now it's back. Great, nothing is messed up. The other thing is you might want to rename or add content to your front and back cover in the pages 5 and 6. So here's what happens. I'm going to zoom in just a bit more. When I click on the box, I can see, yes, here are those tools that we were just talking about. I also see that there are some additional tools. Now, those additional tools sometimes are here at the bottom and sometimes they move over to the side, and you just have to keep your eyes out for them. But I have a move tool. That's the one that looks like a 4-way. I can move this anywhere I want. Move it around, move it. I also have, oh, and note just what happened there. So when I move this back, look how it kind of aligned right with back cover. It's showing me right now that those little red lines are kind of aligning that word front and back cover. This may or may not be information that helps you, but sometimes it's maybe nice to have something that is aligned with other elements. if you want. But what I want to do is I want to edit this word cover and put in my own content. I don't want to have to write upside down. You can in Canva. My brain hurts when I try. So here's the swivel tool. This is the like little arrows to the right. And so if I click and kind of like move around on my mouse, so I'm kind of clicking and swiveling with my pointer finger, I have the ability to swivel this all around. And notice that there's a little degree symbol here that's moving as I make the change. Whoop, let's get it 90 degrees. Okay, there's 90 degrees. Now here's 180 almost. And that's helpful if you want to like get things aligned. Okay, it's not doing 180 for me. I'm just gonna go with 0 for now. And what I'm gonna do is put in my own Iris's Zine, new zine by Iris. Okay, so it's telling me I got my caps lock on. Great. If I want to change the font, I can highlight the text and go up here to fonts. Font is going to bring up all sorts of fonts. Some fonts are paid, some fonts are free. I'm going to try this one. And then I might want to make the font bigger or smaller. So I can come over here next to the font and I can go plus, 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 or I can enter a number in the center. And then I can come back down here and swivel this back into place. Can I swivel it? Yep, there we go. But now it's like outside of my line, so I want to just like pick, oh, no. I want to pick up this text box and I want to move it. So I click and drag to move it back into there. All right. I also wanted to show you about Canva has a bunch of images that are royalty free for you to use. And there's of course even more images and graphics that you can use if you are a paid customer. I've used Canva for free for years and there's plenty in there. So on this left-hand side, I see the word elements. There's also this uploads thing, which is a place where you can upload photos or drawings or whatever you may have, QR codes. That's how I got QR codes into the zine. But if you want to like add a photo, we'll do that in a minute. I'm going to first start with elements. And this is where you could add shapes. You can like make a shape smaller and then move a shape over here. And then I can type shape in the middle. And maybe I want to change the font color. So if I highlight that word, I can come up to the text color button at the top. And if I touch the text color, then I get all this palette and I'm just going to choose white. Okay, great. So now I have a shape. I want to search for something for like an image for the front of my zine though. So I'm going to put in coffee cup. And even though there's photos for now, I think I want to look just at graphics. So I could look at photos, many of them are free, but I'm going to look for a free graphic of like a coffee cup. So I can see these ones with the little crowns, that's a paid image. But look, here's one that like actually says coffee. I'm going to stick with the black and white one. And I'm going to choose black and white. And then it comes into my zine and it's like in the middle and it's giant, and I'm just going to toggle it down to size and then click and drag it over here to my cover, where then I can be like, oh, maybe I do want it a little bigger. Okay. And then I've got it sort of in the center, and notice that I can center it with the text, and I see those little pink guidelines, and now I can just use the swivel tool to swivel it around. Okay. So something I wanted to show you is like this shape came in blue, but I don't need it in blue. I want it in gray. So I'm going to touch on, like I've selected the shape, and now I'm going to touch on the color, and I'm going to select gray, maybe over here. And once I've done that, now I'm ready to swivel it again. There we go. Let's talk about photos real quick. So if I grab a photo, I want to like show you how to make a photo in black and white. So let's take this photo of a, Where did it go? Where did it go? I'm gonna go, let's put this QR code, nope. Let's come down here. Okay, I don't know where those other photos went. So I've got a photo here of a skein of yarn. Now, for my purposes, I am typically printing these zines in black and white because that is what works for my budget. But I wanted to show you how to quickly crop and recolor a photo. And so I've got a skein of yarn. I'm going to see these little toggles. I can adjust the size of the photo and keep its orientation like that by doing the corners. But what if I wanted to crop? I'm going to crop this photo. I'm just using this little up and down tool in the in between of the corners, and I'm going to crop it into a rectangle. And then my photo is selected here. If I click on edit and I look at these filters, I'm going to see all of the filters, and I can choose to have the photo changed into a black and white image. The skein of yarn, it's really a shame not to have the color, but you get the idea. So I'm going to choose this one, the ink. It's showing me some of the tones in that photo, which I like. And again, I can move this photo all around in my zine, doing the toggle buttons like that. Yep. So anytime I want to add text to my zine, I can just sort of start with this. Like I'm gonna swivel this around for, oh, nope, I was moving it, not swiveling. Here's the swivel, swivel. And I'm actually gonna, while I'm writing this or copying text in, I'm just like moving it up here, then I'll swivel it back around again. So let's say I'm gonna like change, I'm either pasting content in from another source, or I am going to do some writing right here in the template, whatever your process is. But I just wanted to take this opportunity to show you all the text tools up here. So here's the alignment. I can change that to left justified. I can go uppercase if I want to. But now that it's left justified, I'm gonna, put in a word and then space, space. This is a zine about zine making. Again, if I want to play with my font choice or whatever, that's fine. But I can just keep entering is another way to make text. And maybe I decide that that's all that's going to go on this part of the zine, and I want to actually have this image right underneath it. Something that's a really fun tool in Canva that I love and use a lot is the ability to group shapes or group elements together. So if I click and then drag, oh, nope, that's not what I wanted to do. If I click on this image and I control, nope, all right, what am I going to do here? I'm going to click off of that. So I clicked off of the frame. The frame is sort of messing with my ability to group. Actually, let me delete the frame first, because that will make it even more clear. All right, forget the frame. I'm going to click and drag my mouse so that I've got both the words and the images highlighted, and I can now group these. I can group them so that they are one unit now. I can move them together up, down. I could put them over here. I could like keep them over here and then swivel them back into the correct orientation upside down. So knowing how to group items is really great. And like what you were seeing with the fact that it was highlighting this and kind of getting funky with my group, sometimes I like that because I like to have a little frame over my cover page. And so I've grouped now all of these things, and I'm going to group, and now they're together. I could swivel them or not. I don't want them to be swiveled, but I always have that ability, look right here where my mouse is circling, to ungroup them. Let's say I've decided to change my mind about this image. I could ungroup and move it around and redo.